So all the way back in December 3rd of 2025, of course, I created a video talking about a horror mod made by a user named Detro, or Detroit, of course, who created a mod known as The Mimic from Hell. That video, while it's not super popular, I'm still proud of for what the video is. Talking about a mod that started off as a simple mod where the mob itself, the Mimic from Hell, is just a simple dweller, now turned to a full-on ARG sort of dealio. Now originally I wanted to make a video about another horror mod created by another user, known in the Minecraft community at least, but that will have to wait for at least another time, or maybe somewhere in 2026, I don't know. So for this video, I discovered another horror mod some time ago. Hell, I even made videos that included both of the different versions of said mod. And that mod is none other than Can You Breathe. Can You Breathe is a Minecraft horror mod created by a user named Mimicker Arrival. Now, Mimicker Arrival made, of course, some Minecraft Bedrock ports, but he also made his own original mods as well. Most that you cannot download anymore, unfortunately, because you used to only be able to download them throughout a website that is not very good functional wise. And then eventually now he started posting his more recent mods on Mediafire, which is the much better option to download his mods from. And I'm thinking that I actually want to make a video talking about his mods. I think the best mod of his to really make a video about is Can You Breathe? And of course, just like what I did with the Man from Hell, I'm going to talk about both of the versions of the Can You Breathe mod. Can You Breathe V1 and Can You Breathe V2. And from what I'm thinking about, I think the creator, aka Mimicker Arrival, is going to do a V3, but I'm not entirely sure about that. So, as of this video, I'm going to be talking about only its two versions of the mod right now. So, as usual, let us begin. We're going to be starting off with Can You Breathe version 1. Alright, so starting off, we're going to be talking about Can You Breathe version V1, of course. Now, obviously, this is just only the first version of the mod. Now, for the very first version of the mod of Can You Breathe, it's actually pretty decent. So, I'm going to explain how the mod works and also, talk about the mob itself and its design, of course. So, how this mob works, well, yeah, I'm going to say mob because this mod just only adds in one mob, which is Can You Breathe. Can You Breathe pretty much functions like a dweller. That's pretty much just it, really. He just functions like a dweller. There's really not many mechanics he has other than just, like once he spawns in, like, and if he spots you and such, like you'll hear like a sound cue of you'll hear like a sound cue of him saying, "Can you breathe?" And he'll like stalk you for a moment before he starts chasing you. The moment you hear like a sound cue, that is definitely your time to, run. Because Can You Breathe is extremely fast, and he's also very powerful, and is extremely tanky. Like, pretty tanky, at least, in my opinion. Yes, actually, he is tanky. Of course, sometimes you're not going to really know that he spotted you, because, you can't really, you're not going to always hear his sound cue all the time when he spots you. The only time you really can actually hear his sound cue when you hear him go, "Can you breathe?" is when you're close enough. Like if he spots you if you're close enough to him. But he can also spot you from farther away too, and you're not going to be able to know if he actually saw you or not. So he can just straight up sneak up on you and you just won't even know that he's there. Which, I'm assuming it's a bug, but honestly, it kind of... But even if it is a bug, I think it definitely helps to kind of make it more scary in a sense, because, like obviously you'll still be able to hear a sound cue once in a while, but again, he can spot you from far away, so you're not going to even know if he sees you or not. Unless you somehow manage to spot him, then yeah, that's pretty much the sign you need to run. If you still happen to see him, of course. But yeah, if you're in chase with him, you're pretty much screwed because again, he's extremely fast and he just hits like a truck and he's really tanky. There are ways to survive him, of course, like blocking him with blocks and such, but you just gotta make sure that you have the time to do so. Otherwise, if he catches up to you, which he will have an easy time doing so, you will indeed die. Now we gotta talk about his design. I gotta say, pretty good design. I actually like how horrific his face looks. Now, that's really it. Basically, he's like a big, tall, black figure, and he's got a really horrific face. Which, then again, really creepy design. Definitely is a pretty creepy design. Again, I really like how horrific his face looks. That's all I really gotta say about the mod, though. Now, I'm gonna be talking about Can You Breathe version 2. Next up is version 2 of the Can You Breathe mod. Now this mod actually adds in some extra stuff now. Unlike version 1 where it just only adds in the mob itself and he functions like a dweller, V2 actually does some nice upgrades with the said mod a bit. So first things first, Can You Breathe actually has a new mechanic now. He still functions like a dweller, but he actually has a new ability now, which I'll get into in a minute. I actually want to talk about something else that was also added in the mod though. At some point in the mod, you'll actually come across a TV that will naturally spawn in your world at some point. If you actually punch the TV, or attack it with your weapon of course, it will actually give you certain text. Now apparently, from what the mod creator himself, Mimicker Arrival, stated, it actually is lore, which I will actually talk about when we get to that moment. But yeah, that's all I can really say for now in this video. This TV actually gives you some kind of lore if you actually hit it. But anyways, that's all I gotta say about the TV. Now I gotta talk about the mob himself, the Can You Breathe. Now, of course, Can You Breathe still has the same mechanic, however, he's got one new trick up his sleeve this time. Of course, he does the same thing where if he spots you once, he will, of course, go ahead and stalk you before he starts attacking you. However, instead, he no, he of course does that, but he also has a second way to attack you as well. Instead of spotting you and stalking you before attacking you, his second way of attacking you is that he actually will stalk you, but he actually will be holding something in his hand this time. He's holding some kind of item. Now, whatever you do not try to interact with him if he's holding out some item. Not to mention, if he actually spots you, he'll say hi to you and say that he has a gift for you. Again, do not fall for it, because if you actually hit him, or better yet, interact with him while he's trying to give you the quote-unquote gift, he will immediately attack you and just straight up kill you. So, of course, again, if he's trying to trick you, just simply don't interact with him, you'll be fine. But you still gotta worry about him regardless, because then again, he can still attack you the other way around too. So you can still survive him by just simply doing the similar strategies like before, block his path to prevent him from getting to you. But then again, if he ever reaches towards you, you're pretty much screwed. But yeah, that's all I gotta say about how the mod works. Now I want to talk about its design. Now, to be honest, I prefer his V1 design because his V1 design actually looks more creepier. But his V2 design is not that bad. He basically's got a better look, of course. And yeah, that's all I can really say, of course. He just got a better design for, well, the V2 update. Again, I prefer his V1 design because he looks a lot more scarier looking in V1, but it's still good regardless. Still a good design. And that's all I really gotta say about the mod. Now, that's really it, right? You think that once I talk about two versions of the mod, that's gonna be the end of the video right there, right? Nope. I still got one last thing to talk about. Yes, you saw that correctly. This mod actually has lore, which again, I mentioned it when I was talking about V2, where the TV actually gives you some lore. But there's actually lore that was surrounding the V1 mod. However, when you actually play the V1 version of the mod, it doesn't actually tell you any lore. But you actually found out about its lore, well, at least V1's lore, is throughout comment sections of the video that the creator himself, Mimic Arrival, made. Once you look at the release video of the Can You Breathe V1 mod and look at the comment section, you'll actually see some comments that Mimic Arrival himself posted, stating that there's lore about the creature, and the lore is actually a hint. And of course, someone actually tried to guess it. Unfortunately, they got the answer wrong, but the Mimic Arrival told us some lore anyway. Turns out, in the lore of Can You Breathe, at least during V1, turns out the lore is that Steve is actually a soul that was tortured by Mojang, the company behind Minecraft, and now he wants revenge, which explains why Steve now looks like this. So let me get this straight. Steve, the main character of Minecraft, is somehow a sentient being with a soul, abused by Mojang, and now he wants revenge, now turning into Can You Breathe. I don't know what to say about that, but hey, whatever works for Mimic Arrival, I guess. But I'm not done yet. There's more to the lore. Remember when I talked about that TV from earlier? Well, I did state it that it actually it tells you something when you hit it. And this is what it will say if you actually hit the TV. It reads, "Hello, fellow player. There's something in this world. It's a monster called Can You Breathe? I will help you. Here's a tutorial on how to survive this monster. 1. Don't get the book it's giving you. When you get it, you will die. 2. When it's angry, run. Help me, I'm stuck. Help." When reading this, I started to come up with some kind of theory. Now that I think about it, I think my theory is this. I don't think Steve is the only one trapped inside the world of Minecraft, now tortured and angry and wanting revenge, but perhaps there's another soul that is trapped in there alongside with Steve. Because it says, "Help me, I'm stuck." I think there is some kind of spiritual soul that is trapped within the world of Minecraft who is now having to deal with Can You Breathe, formerly known as Steve, of course. So, for my theory, not only is Steve a tortured soul, now wanting revenge on Mojang, but there's pretty much another soul trapped inside the game of Minecraft who basically is being hunted down by Can You Breathe. Again, this is just a theory. My own theory, of course. But anyways, that's pretty much all I can really say about his lore. So again, his lore is, while we already know the simple lore from V1, where Can You Breathe is really just Steve. He's really just an angry spirit of Steve now wanting revenge. But for the second lore, especially that TV, now it's kind of hard to come up with what's going on. Either it's Can You Breathe asking us for help, or there's possibly another soul that's trapped inside also asking us for help. Again, that's just a theory. But who knows? Maybe we'll figure out more once we actually dig deeper into the mod. But anyways, that's about it. And that's just it for the video. And I hope you guys really enjoyed. I'm actually glad I get to talk about this mod. Ever since I got into Can You Breathe, I actually wanted to make a video talking about this mod for quite a bit. And here I am finally talking about the mod. Now, I can't wait to see the future of this mod. If this mod ever gets a V3, I'm curious how much better it will be. Will it be better than V2 and V1? Who knows? Only time will tell. I'm just glad I get to finally talk about this mod. I also want to give a shout out to Mimic Arrival, because he made a pretty good mod. I can't wait to see how much he'll improve the mod in the future. Anyways, I'm Boost Studios. Peace out, everyone.